Hello and welcome to another edition of Inside the Burrow, the FAU podcast for and by fans. My name is Dan. I am joined as usual by Jack and Shane. And this is our inaugural second episode of the week. Like we said at the end of the UCF breakdown, that we're going to try to bring two episodes a week, one kind of breaking down the previous game and then one looking forward to the weekend game. And so that's what we are doing tonight. As FAU prepares to take on Ball State. For those of you that remember, Ball State came down to FAU and won in again, another one of those frustrating losses that we had. So we do have some experience with them. I'm not sure, there might be a few players on the roster that were there. I'm trying to think of the last time that we played them, what year it was, but it was 31-27. And a ton of lightning delays and everything like that. But, yeah, so Ball State, they are 1-1. They lost to Indiana somewhat convincingly. They kind of never were in that game. And then they really put a hurting on Fordham, the mighty Fordham team from New York that also lost to another bad FCS team. So, again, this is it's a big test. I mean, we are on a 4-game losing streak at this point if you go back to last year, and this is one of those games that we at the very least should be in late in the game. Non-conference away game, against a FBS opponent. It's with a team like FAU, you never really know what's going to happen. But this is a big game. I think can really set the tone for the season, going both ways. If we are able to walk away with a win, the team's got to be walking away feeling pretty good about themselves. If we come out with a loss, I don't really want to think about that. So I guess we'll kind of talk about what to keep an eye out for. So I don't know, Shane, what's one of the things that jumps out to you about Ball State?
Well, real quick, you were talking about that 2016 game. I distinctly remember the one thing about that game, and I say through every rain delay, was there was a 4th and 1 that we were going to quickly go for, or it was like a 4th and 3, and we were lining up to go for it, and they called another lightning delay, and they come back from the lightning delay, and then we didn't get the 4th down conversion to put the game away, and Ball State went on a drive to win the game. It literally kind of summed up the Charlie Partridge error. As for Ball State, kind of like we talked about, let's see if they can kind of get over the emotion of these two games and the emotion of last week going to Muncie, Indiana, and playing at 2 p.m. isn't the most exciting thing to do or get up for. But this team really needs a win. You mentioned 0-4 last 4. We're 3 of our last 7 going back to last year. We pointed out on this show before that the last time FAU had a non-conference away win was at USF. What was that, in the Pelini era?
2012, I think it was.
No, 2014. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure, but it's been a while since we had a non-conference away win. We've traditionally not done well on the road against MAC teams or MAC teams in general. Our only one was our bowl win. Lost to Buffalo twice. Lost to Ball State. So the S&P has this as the closest game of the week. We opened as 1-point favorites. We've moved to 2.5. I kind of expect it to come down to the wire.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Shane and Dan, guys, if I don't even want to think about losing this one, because if we lose this one, we're starting the season 0-3 going into Wagner, and just think about all the doubt that's going to be around the program. If you think it's bad right now, just buckle up if we fall short in Muncie. I'm definitely worried that this is a classic hangover game. Remember when we were talking about that a couple weeks ago, guys? Perfect hangover. Try to go to Columbus, do the best we could, did a decent job, tried it for the upset against UCF, weren't even close, not even in the same league. Now it's trying to bring those emotions back into check. I'm really nervous, guys. We haven't done well against MAC teams. The Ball State game a couple years ago at home was just, you already said it, Shane. It summed up Charlie Partridge perfectly. I think we only had 3 points in an entire second half. The same thing with Buffalo. Same thing with Old Dominion, even though they're in our conference, just going on and on about how we go off to a fast start every single time we play someone, and then we just fall on our face in the fourth quarter. Lane is different. He can manage better. Hopefully that can put us over the top. I am worried about our injuries, though. Malcolm Davidson, he played pretty well last Saturday against UCF. We're not sure if he's going to be good to go. There's a few other injuries we got to worry about. Are we really about to put the entire running back core on Larry McMahon? Is that really what's about to happen, the true freshman from Hoover? I'm not too sure.
Here's the thing. We are a distinctly more talented football team than Ball State. Our holes right now make it where it could be a close game. I was looking at some of the stats, and I said this was a big issue last year. Right now, our stuff rate, meaning runs that we have that either get 0 or negative yards, is 40%, almost 41%. That's the equivalent of Chris Robinson walking up to the line of scrimmage and spiking the ball 41% of the time. Those plays have to stop. As we talked about the other day, Lane called out a couple of the offensive linemen. This week in their press conference, they talked a lot about just getting back to basics, not overthinking. Ball State doesn't have a very good D-line. They only have 2 sacks on the season, like we do. So this is something we should kind of be able to take advantage of. The thing we should have an advantage over teams like this is we should just be able to out-athlete them, get big plays, use our Florida speed, give them what they can't handle. But I don't know where that's coming from. One interesting thing that Lane said today, and I thought Lane in his press conference was really open and honest, where he mentioned that Willie just hasn't been the same since the hit at FIU. He hasn't scored a touchdown since that game. He only has 2 catches for negative 10 yards this year. I mean, we're talking about someone who had 56 catches and numerous long runs as a true freshman. And I mean, since that hit, he's just been gone. And Lane said it quite blankly. He's like, when's the last time you seen a kid make a play? And I thought that was just a little shocking. I mean, we haven't really seen him all fall, but even in camp, we were kind of wondering where the big plays were Willie's from. But it's kind of shocking to kind of hear that from the coach himself mention that play.
Yeah, that is interesting. We've talked about how we need Willie to come back pretty badly for a while now. It is good that we are going to get some help from the offensive line. Transfer from Colorado State, Desmond Noel. Hopefully he can inject some experience. We just need bodies in there right now, man, because we don't have time to set up long runs. We don't have time to set up deep passes to Willie or a Jet.
I kind of disagree. Like, we just don't need bodies. BJ Etienne is perfectly capable of being a good left guard. Okay? You have 2 guys that you recruited, Doug Johnson and Marquise Robinson, who should be good enough. I mean, these are guys you brought in. I mean, BJ Etienne's a kid who started 11 games last year. We're not talking about where we just need bodies, where 4 guys are, if you remember that one Charlie Partridge year, where I think we started 9 different offensive line sets the whole year. I mean, the players are there, in my opinion. I'm having a little trouble understanding why they're not performing. I know there's a lack of depth, but I don't know what a kid transferring in going into week 3 of the year. I mean, if he's starting in 2 weeks, I mean, what does that say? I don't know.
Well, I think, and this may be for our first 2 games were against, Power 5 talent and kind of the upper echelon of Group of 5 talent. Where
it's a top 10 team. And just
right.
not to cut you off, Dan, I know you're saying upper echelons. I know, like a lot of people, you view UCFs this way. I think they're going to go beat Stanford by 3 touchdowns.
That's quite a take. No, but basically, one of the things my point was that the defensive lines that we faced were very good. The best defensive lines that we're going to face all year long. I mean, last week the guy from UCF, Frank, I can't remember his name, but he said our defensive line is going to dominate, and I think we kind of chuckled. Oh well, you're not going to dominate that much. Our offensive line is going to be okay, and I mean they dominated. I mean, and we talked about that in UCF, but I think this might be a point where we are able to sort of flex our muscle, but basically be on the same level as Ball State's defensive line. There was a poster that posted on the Nest from Ball State that essentially said the defensive line is their weakest part of the defense, which is good news for us because we do have the athletes. If we can get a little bit of running room, our running backs will be fine. And when Chris has a little bit of time, he's able to make some good plays. So, I think one of the things is we're all incredibly disappointed, really, just in the result, and I guess I don't want to say effort against UCF, but they could have, we're playing against 2 essentially top 10 teams in the country back to back. It might not be, our expectations might have been a little bit too high going into the UCF game. We probably should have treated those expectations similar to Ohio State. So, perhaps this is the week where we are able to kind of do the things that are going to make our offense work. So I think that's also something to consider that, if we played Alabama back-to-back weeks, we would say, well, yeah, we've got a lot of problems, but, talent-wise, and coaching-wise and level of, where the teams are right now they're a little bit different. So now we're, coming down somebody who is going to be similar on our level. So, I think we'll score more points this week, but yeah, I think everything kind of hinges on, in my opinion, on the offensive line because, and Lane even said that today, that Chris is going to have a better game because Ball State does run more of a hurry-up offense. Their quarterback can sling it. I know, he had a lot of yards against Fordham, not very much, but I mean, there was Shane, you mentioned a stat that 5 of their players have catches over 30 yards this year. They can throw the ball. The offense can move a little bit, so we're not going to be able. Defense is not going to shut the game down. We're going to need to score some points.
So a few things I want to mention. Desmond Noel, he can at least provide some competition for the offensive line. Numbers isn't the issue because no one's really hurt right now, but there needs to be at least some competition because something needs to change. A. B, it's the last time I want to talk about UCF for the rest of the season, okay? We played 2 top 20 teams to start off the season. We were the only team in the entire country of all of FBS football to open up against 2 top 20 teams. Both these teams are probably going to finish in the top 10. That's just the way it is. Both these teams are crazy talented. When it comes to Ball State now, you're right. Their offense is really, really high octane, really impressive, very fast. Drew Plitt, their receiver, their quarterback, beg your pardon, 8 touchdowns so far, 2 interceptions. Dude can sling it. Their offensive line is decent size as well. It's the MAC. They're going to have a decent size offensive line. Nothing like Ohio State in the Big Ten, but that's where they're going to be pretty solid there. So they are going to rush to the line of scrimmage, get a lot of plays off. But hey, they struggled against Fordham for about 3 quarters there. Who didn't they lose to Central Connecticut or something? I mean, let's take it with a grain of salt. We should still be able to outrun them, but that should. We've been saying should for the last year. We should be able to beat them. We should be able to cover. Should be able to do X, Y, and Z. But the pieces haven't fallen into place yet. I think people that are saying that we need to make some type of coaching changes need to kind of take a step back a little bit. But I will say that there might have to be, I'm not saying complete removals of coaches, but we might have to start thinking about some sort of changes if we come back from Muncie 0-3. I mean, the only thing that Ball State is known for is Drew Letterman. Okay, we should be able to win this game.
I think just how we start the game is the most important thing. If we get off to a fast start, this is a team we should be able to blow out. But like I said last week, with our inability to get big plays, we're going to be in a lot of close games. So I just don't know how it's going to play out. We'll see. But again, let's just figure out a way to get creative, playmakers, get the ball in our playmakers' hand, try and get Willie Wright going. Don't want to sound repetitive with it, but I mean, he's our most athletic guy right now. So that's where we need to go. I'd like to see, if he's healthy, I'd like to see Malcolm Davidson get a lot more carries. He's our most explosive running back right now. As the defense, our DBs are way too talented to be struggling this much. 2 interceptions at the minimum this week is kind of my standard. Coming back, I think if we do come back with a win, everything will feel so much better. Go into Wagner, you get a road game versus UNCC, and then a bye week, and then you can kind of settle into the rest.
Yeah. So there's we won't get ahead of ourselves there, but it's definitely a big game. I think really we all understand that, and I think that the team knows that as well. So hopefully this, like I said, the players kind of they're being more on our level, that we can start to do the things that we want to. So this game is Saturday, 2 p.m. Great start on ESPN Plus. Jack, I know you were going to say something about the ESPN Plus, and if it's worth getting the subscription for it or not, or how everything works.
Yeah, ESPN Plus is a no-brainer if you're a college sports fan, especially a fan of FAU. Shane had the exact number of how many times they're going to be playing on ESPN Plus this season. How many times was that, Shane?
It was 6. So.
Six times. So, I mean, the subscription is $4.99 a month. With that comes Conference USA football games, a whole bunch of conferences, Sun Belt, so on and so forth. You're going to get college basketball games. FAU basketball will most likely be on ESPN Plus. And it's good for me, for a soccer fan, for a hockey fan as well. You see a lot of content on ESPN Plus. It's a no-brainer, guys. Now, it's worth noting that this is different from ESPN3, and that's because ESPN3, you need a cable subscription. And with that cable subscription, ESPN3 is free. ESPN Plus is a separate component where you have to pay $4.99 a month. Okay, so I want everyone to remember that. But it is pretty solid. I love it. I think it's much better than Conference USA TV, where you'd have to pay like $20 a month just to watch Conference USA games on the worst quality imaginable. So highly recommend it. It should be decent for a while for FAU in the conference.
Yeah. So thank you for that. And so we'll see what happens, and then we will be back again next week breaking it down. We'll break down hopefully the win, and as usual, we thank you guys for being with us. Our download numbers have been pretty exciting, and we're glad to share this with you guys. And if any of you guys have any suggestions or comments or super hot. The hottest it takes. That's the only thing we'll take. Make sure you check us out on Twitter at Inside the Burrow. Obviously, join the conversation over at FAUAllisNest.com. And Jack had his hand up.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks to everyone that was hitting us up on Twitter when we were talking about what do you guys think about Ball State. Hey, Steven, just so you know, I think they look large just because they're from the Midwest, man. I mean, they eat steaks and Big Macs for breakfast, and that's what Wisconsin cheese curds. That's what they do. They just grow them big, and also because they played Fordham. That's why we look so big. But beyond that, guys, keep that stuff coming. We love to hear from y'all. Shane and Dan can attest to it. We love it when you guys come to us, before games to talk football. We love it, and we're just thankful that you guys are always willing to listen.
Yeah. So with that, we will see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in, and go Owls.